feel this is their year. They must be playing defensive. Schmeichel's not coming up for this one. Thinks he's done enough. Is this their moment? It's a Sheringham, and Solskjaer has won it! Manchester United have reached the promised land. Oli Solskjaer, 272, has scored the 2 goals in stoppage time.
4,
And the
3,
treble looms
2,
large.
1.
Hello and welcome to the United Community Podcast, and we're back with another episode. Plenty to talk about as usual, and again we're making a habit out of this, but another good week for Manchester United, so we will not complain. But we've got plenty to discuss today. Manchester United, of course, it's a huge week ahead coming up. Barcelona on the horizon, and of course the Carabao Cup final on Sunday against Newcastle. We're going to talk about Bruno Fernandes and how vital he is to Erik ten Hag's system. He's been chipping in with a lot of goals and assists lately, so we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about David De Gea, the fact that he's now equalled Schmeichel's clean sheet record for Manchester United, and is he underrated, and or should United potentially upgrade in that area in the summer? We're going to talk about Weghorst as well. No goals, in relation to, well, I think he has 1 goal for Manchester United so far, but still doing a good job, ? We'll ask the guys about that. We're going to talk about Chelsea, whether Potter should be sacked or whether they should keep him. Will Liverpool make the top 4? Man City slip up. Why aren't they clicking? And then, of course, Arsenal as well showed resilience on the weekend, but did they get lucky? We have the usual. Ricey is with us tonight, as always. So, Ricey, you're welcome. And introducing as well, Adam is with us. You may know him as Tom Aldino on TikTok. So, Adam, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us, man.
No bother. Glad to be on the show. Glad to be here, and glad to be a Manchester United fan at this moment in time. We're on a great run, and we're gonna have a great chat. Can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just delighted now that there's another Man United fan on, because it's now 2v1 against Ricey. So happy days. You're going to have your work out for you tonight, Ricey.
Oh, big time, Jackie. Big time.
Anyway, look, let's jump into it straight away. And we'll talk about, of course, United. And I mentioned it doing the watch along during the week that these kind of games now for Manchester United are starting to become a bit routine, going up against your Leicesters, your so-called mid-table teams, and before we used to have maybe a nervousness going into these kind of games, it seems to be gone now for Manchester United. And Adam, I'd like to get your take on it first. Of course, as a United fan, it's great that these games are just kind of becoming routine now, really, aren't they?
Yeah. And, going into these games, I'll say maybe last season, I was shitness, like properly shitness, because this squad didn't have a mentality. They didn't have a winning mentality about them. What Erik ten Hag has done to this squad, and with the squad that he has at his disposal, because let's be real, obvious that he spent 250 million this summer. You look at that bench, and it's not great. There's not a lot of quality on it. What he's done with this squad has been not short of extraordinary, really. Instilling that winning mentality, like I said to you, like backstage a while ago, in the last 29 games, Manchester United have won 22 out of that 29 games, and they've lost 2 games, and the 2 games were against Man City and Arsenal, and what we're doing as well is capitalising on teams dropping points. We did it with Leeds last Sunday, where we won 2-0, and we capitalised on a lot of teams dropping points. We did it with Manchester City, who drew with Nottingham Forest. We capitalised on them dropping points. So I'm just so happy with the way we're playing at the moment, and the way we're scoring a lot of goals. We're dominating games. Albeit the first half an hour yesterday against Leicester wasn't great, but we then started to play very well in the second half, and I was just very delighted with the performance yesterday, and I'm just delighted in general to be a Manchester United fan. But in terms of the next week now, like this week, in hand, it's going to be a very tough week, because obviously the second leg against Barcelona, I'm confident we can beat them, but obviously then a cup final on Sunday to deal with as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Ricey, for yourself as obviously not a United fan looking out from the inside, obviously two huge games coming up in relation to Barcelona and then Newcastle on the weekend. If now obviously very hypothetical here, but if you were the Manchester United manager, would you be prioritizing one over the other, or would you be kind of saying to yourself, like I was saying in comments today on one of my TikToks that, if United can go out and beat Barcelona, it would, even though Newcastle will have a week's rest, we'll take a lot of momentum going into that game if we can beat them. But would you prioritize one over the other?
Personally, I don't think I'd prioritize one over the other. It's like it's going to tell a lot with what kind of team he picks. Like some of the older lads, if he picks Casemiro for Thursday night, like is Casemiro going to play 90 minutes Thursday and play a cup final on Sunday? We've seen he's been rotating a lot around the defense anyway, so I wouldn't really be worried about the defense. Look, the Carabao Cup Sunday is going to mean a lot more to Newcastle than it is to United, but when you're in a final, you're going to want to lift that silverware. I've stated over the last few weeks on the pod, I'm not a United fan now. I wouldn't be prioritising the Europa League anyway. This is a massive tie. You don't want to lose to Barcelona. It's the glamour tie of it. It's a Champions League tie essentially in the Europa League. But again, how far are you going to go in the Europa League? Like, are you prioritising going to the final of that? I think at the moment on current form, you're set in stone for top four. You have a bit of a title challenge on. I don't think you really need them Thursday nights.
Yeah.
Too much. I know what you mean though. It could be a killer. You don't want a heavy, or you don't want a bad defeat on Thursday night going in before a cup final. But it all depends on what kind of team he puts out.
Yeah. And like I mentioned it last week, I think on the podcast that, me personally, I kind of have this feeling that the Carabao Cup and the Barcelona tie in general is nearly a free hit for United. Because, obviously, as fans, you want to go out and you want to win every game. But like you were mentioning there, Ricey, if you do go out of Europe, and you go out to Barcelona, you just hold your hands up and say, okay, well, let's concentrate on getting top four.
Yeah, I wouldn't be overly worried about it.
Like,
you don't have massive squad depth, as said in some of the comments here. You don't have massive squad depth there to kind of fight on all fronts this season. You kind of have to maybe pick and choose your battles. As I said, you're not going out to lose to Barcelona on Thursday night, and what a win it would be going into the Carabao Cup final. But I just don't, from a neutral point, I don't think that'd be overly disappointing to go out that Europa League.
Yeah.
I also, to be honest, lads, obviously it'd be great, obviously, as you said, Ricey, to beat Barcelona. And look, it is a massive tie, and if we do win, it'd be great. But to win that first trophy of the season, it really does push you on for the rest of the season. And to be honest, you're looking at other cup competitions, the FA Cup. United have a great chance of winning the FA Cup because Spurs, they're not a threat. Like, Spurs don't win anything. Let's be real. They're not a threat. Brighton are a good team, but they're not going to win the FA Cup, in my opinion. So the only threat I see is Manchester City. And to be honest, on a one-off game, I can see us beating Man City. So there's obviously other cup competitions there that we can win. But I think winning that Carabao Cup is very important because, lads, I'm starving for a trophy.
It is very true, though. Just to get one for Eric Ten Hag, for him, just in his first season, to nail down the first trophy he was in would be a big statement out there. And look, he won the Europa League in recent enough years. Well, it could be 6 years. How long ago? When did you win that?
2017.
It's not a big thing for Manchester. It's not a big thing for Manchester United to be winning. And as I said to you on last week's pod, you have to play another, after this, you're into a last 16, so 2, then quarterfinal 4, another 7 games to win it. Yeah, it'd be nice to be a spectacle if you got to the final, but you could get all the way to the final and lose. I wouldn't be putting my eggs into that basket anyway. Priority for me, looking from the outside in, is getting Champions League football back into Manchester United next season, and you're after sneaking your way in there to a title race by coming up the ladder quietly and the teams ahead of you just slipping and dropping points. Not the shackles haven't come off the teams ahead of you, but you've been just slowly creeping up, and now you're kind of another 1 or 2 results go your way, and you keep going the way you are, you're bang in the middle of the title mix.
Yeah, absolutely. It is something, and it brings me on to that point exactly, because I did want to, talk quickly about this talk of United challenging for the title. And look, and I would say myself personally, technically we are challenging for a title, given the fact that we're only 5 points off of the top, albeit Arsenal do have a game in hand. Adam, I'm interested to get your take on this first, because it's a really good, it's an exciting time to be a United fan, of course it is, but obviously we don't want to sound too Liverpoolish and say, we're in a title race or this and that, or the quad is on, or any of this nonsense. But what's your own take on United and what we could potentially actually achieve this season?
Yeah, look, Erik ten Hag has absolutely exceeded expectations this season. Manchester, let's be real, Jack. I don't know about you, but before the start of the season, I never thought we would be even in the top 4. Never mind potentially challenging for a title or being the top 3. He's absolutely exceeded expectations this season. Obviously brought in a good few signings as well that have changed the mentality, and a lot of leadership has been brought in as well in terms of Casemiro and Martinez and stuff like that. But in terms of what we can achieve this season, we're not going to win the title, in my opinion. I think the games we have coming up, we still have to play Liverpool at Anfield, which is, albeit they're going through a rough patch, it's never going to be an easy game at Anfield. Newcastle away, Brighton away, Spurs and Chelsea still to play, Brentford at home. These are all very tough games. So if Manchester United were to, hypothetically, imagine they go and win all those games, it would be mental. But I don't see us doing it, man, to be honest. But listen, a top 3 finish and winning a trophy this season, the Carabao Cup, that's a great season, especially in Ten Hag's first season as Manchester United manager. I would love that, because as I said, as a Man United fan, I'm starving for a trophy. This club should be winning trophies, every season, because we're Manchester United. But at the same time, we need to be realistic. Erik ten Hag has exceeded expectations, and
I think 99% of fans would have snapped a hand off you for top 4 and the Carabao Cup at the start of the season, given how poor we were last year. You know what I mean? I want to move it on, though, guys. I want to talk about individuals here, and we're going to talk about Bruno Fernandes for a minute and how vital he is to Ten Hag's system. I think he's played the most minutes out of any player under Ten Hag this season, and he's been in flying form. Look, he's not getting the same amount of goals that he was when he first signed for us, and obviously it was a different system and things like that, and I have some statistics here in relation to Bruno, and they're fantastic. They really are. His goal and assist per game. Let me just pull it up here. So for Manchester United, he's got 57 goals and 48 assists, and that's in how many? In 162 games. And Ricey, I'll come to you. Obviously as the outsider looking in, right, he's not getting a lot of as many goals as he once was when he first signed, and maybe there is that kind of over reliance on him when we first signed him. However, now obviously Rashford is coming to the fore a lot more, and maybe the pressure is not there. But from an outsider looking in, how do you see him and his importance maybe to Ten Hag, given the fact that he's basically played every minute of every game?
Yeah, Bruno is he's absolutely flying it. He came into United. He came in January, did he?
Yeah.
And he took January 2 years ago, I presume, and he took to the Premier League like a duck to water. He scored serious amount of goals, had a serious amount of assists. You can see that from the stats there. Then we won't go back to the Ronaldo scenario, but say Ronaldo came in, you'd be wondering now, did he hinder his progress with United? Because now that he's left, he's kind of opened back up. He expresses him a lot more. He expresses himself a lot more. As you see, he has 5 goals and 6 assists in 23 games. Yeah, you'd like him maybe to have a few more contributions in them kind of statistics. When you look at the likes of De Bruyne, I think he has 4 or 5 goals and 14 assists. Yeah. But he's a pivotal player. You can see the encouragement he shows. He's constantly barking orders. Even Sancho's goal at the weekend, first of all, his ball through there for Rashford's goal, which Rashford's goal was a fantastic finish, the first goal. Yeah. It just shows the confidence that he had, didn't even think of squaring it, just bottom left. And then the 1-2 that he had with Sancho for the third, and Sancho finished it lovely first time, left foot in. He's oozing confidence at the minute. I think most of the United squad are oozing confidence at the minute, and Bruno's kind of really showing there that he's kind of stepping up to the mark for Eric Ten Hag.
Yeah, absolutely. And Adam, to come to you and just to pull off maybe something that Ricey said there, it would be nice for him to be getting more goals, because it would probably take the pressure off of Rashford. Now, Rashford seems to be striving under the pressure anyway, but he can't keep scoring goals forever, Rashford. So I think, it is a fair comment from rival fans saying if Rashford stops scoring, you're in big trouble. And they may have a point on that. But in terms of Bruno's actual importance to the team, and I think the influence he has maybe as now a senior player, I think is pivotal.
Yeah, absolutely. Bruno Fernandes, like at the start of the season, like last season, I was very critical of Bruno because he gave away the ball so many times, and he was putting it in positions, putting the ball into positions where like it just didn't really need to be put into. But this season, again, this is where Eric Ten Hag comes into play. He has completely changed Bruno Fernandes as a player. He's playing in the number 10. He's playing out on the right. I think the way he's playing out on the right is actually quite sensational at times because he's kind of ahead of the game sometimes. He sees someone making a run and he's always going to play that pass. But in terms of this season, it's pinpoint. Like, it's unbelievable accuracy on it. And I'm very happy with the way he's been a leader as well. Like, people call him a whinge bag and all this, but that's all part of it. To get under rival fans' skin and, stuff like that. And I absolutely love it. I love Bruno Fernandes now. And I just hope he keeps going in the right direction and keep doing his thing under Eric Ten Hag because Eric Ten Hag has completely changed him as a footballer.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I'm really happy with about Bruno, and the one thing we're seeing an awful lot less of him since Ten Hag came in, and you can see, I've been noticing it gradually throughout the season, that these Hollywood passes, these 60, 70-yard balls are nearly gone out of his game. You know what I mean? And I think all credit to Ten Hag on that one. He's absolutely simplified his game down and said, look, this is what I want out of you. And Ten Hag clearly does trust him as well, given the fact that he's given him the captain's armband, when Harry Maguire is not playing. Future captain, Ricey, for you, obviously, if Maguire does go.
Yeah, well, I think Maguire will go. I'd say Boji probably think he will go too. I don't see any need to keep Maguire. As I said on last week or the week before's podcast, like a priority position for Manchester United next season and going forward when they want to build that squad depth is at another centre half. So if Harry Maguire, if you're playing left backs in centre half instead of him in big games, I think that kind of time when he played City and Shaw started centre half against City, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I think that kind of was just a defining line there when your captain centre half is fully fit against one of your fiercest rivals and you're playing a left full in there and gave a good showing, decent showing in there too. Yeah. I just think Maguire's days are numbered. I don't think Ten Hag probably wanted to let him go. I know some sort of bid maybe came in from Villa, or there was talk of this during January, but I think Ten Hag knows what he's doing. He's kind of doing stopgap in certain positions, maybe with Weghorst and that up top and just holding on to Harry Maguire. He doesn't want too much disruption. Just get through this year. I'd say, as you previously said, I'd say he's thinking the same thing. If we can get a trophy, get this Champions League football, even not only get the Champions League football just secured properly, third, maybe second. He wants as high up the table as he can. He doesn't want too many disruptions by the look of things because there wasn't too many ins or outs. And just kind of push on for next year. It's going to be a building process to year on year. He's brought in some fantastic signings so far, and like nearly every signing he's brought in, like maybe bar with like Malassi has done a job. He hasn't lit the world alight, but he probably is one more so for the future. But he's brought in like Martinez and Casemiro. Like they've settled in massively there. Like
and the one thing I would say about Bruno Fernandes, and you mentioned it, Adam, going out on the right hand side, Ten Hag seems to like it a lot. It's going to put pressure on the likes of Anthony to really have to up his game, because look, obviously, and again, I go back and say it, I'm in no hurry to judge Anthony. He hasn't set the world alight. He had a very good start. I think was it 3 in 3 games, when he first came, but he's only young, and I'm in no hurry to judge him anytime soon. We overpaid for him, but that's not his fault. But now we're seeing Bruno going out on this right-hand side, and you're thinking, all right, we have options here again at long last.
Yeah, of course. And, what I've noticed a lot, and you said it as well, Jack, he's not playing this Hollywood pass constantly, and, when he does play it, it actually works out more times than it actually doesn't, and he's playing these 5-yard, 10-yard passes where he should have been doing this whole time. It's been very annoying, watching him at times. But as I said, Erik ten Hag has absolutely changed him as a footballer, and I just hope he can keep going the way he's going, because as you said, it puts pressure then on Anthony to perform when he does come into the side on that right hand side, because if he doesn't, Bruno then starts on that right hand side, and then Weghorst maybe goes into the 10, so it all depends. We'll see what happens with Bruno, but I'm loving what he's doing at this moment in time.
Yeah, me too, I have to say. Right, we'll move it on, and from one end of the field to another, and we'll talk about David De Gea, and obviously, look, he's been at Manchester United a long time now, and it kind of doesn't really feel like it. We tend to blank out as much as of the last 10 years as we possibly can as United fans. But he has equaled Peter Schmeichel's record. Look, he's obviously going to break it, in relation to clean sheets, 180 clean sheets for David De Gea. And look, obviously this year the talk has been about De Gea and the modern goalkeeper. And is he as good with the ball at his feet as, the likes of your Alissons or your Edersons and these type of players? And first of all, obviously it's a great achievement for him. But say the question I want to ask, and I go to you on this, Ricey, is it an area, maybe not in the short term, but in the long term under Ten Hag, do you think it's an area that United probably need to improve?
Going forward, the way football changes and all, probably something to look at. I don't think it's a major, I don't think one of your next 2 or 3 signings is going to have to be a goalkeeper. He's very good shot stopper. He's very good stopping the ball with his feet. He's probably not technically as good as other goalies, maybe Alisson and, as you named, Ederson, with his feet and his distribution of the ball. But kind of depending on the style you want to play. It's I see that he's been linked the last few years of will he go or anything throughout different managers. So it's all really down to who you could get in to replace him or what kind of style of goalkeeper you want to go with. He is prone to an error, but I think because he's at such a big club that these errors are kind of more highlighted than other keepers. It's a big pressure job being a goal for Manchester United. I do think personally you were a bit harsh on him for that goal that went in from the corner last week against Barcelona. I don't think that was his fault as much as it was Fred's fault. Okay, the one that went in by the post, the corner.
Right. I did say
I thought you were a bit harsh. I thought the Barcelona goalkeeper was worse for Rashford's first goal. Yeah, there was power in the ball, but it went right in at his near post.
Yeah. I don't know. I probably was a little bit harsh on him, but when I see a goalkeeper flinching at the thought of getting hit off the post rather than saving, I'm sorry, I don't have any sympathy. You know what I mean? But I understand.
Will I just say it as it is, Jack? Will I just say it as it is? David De Gea is overrated. Okay, he's overrated. So? Yeah. David De Gea should not be the number 1 goalkeeper at Manchester United. When it comes to David De Gea this season, okay, he's improved a tiny bit, but there's plenty of better keepers in the Premier League. Plenty. I could name 5. Ederson, Alisson, David Raya, Robert Sanchez. Who else? Aaron Ramsdale's been better than this season. David De Gea, when it comes to claiming the ball, when it comes to corners and stuff like that, distributing as well. Distributing, he's been okay this season, but it's not good enough in terms of if you want to be at the top level, if you want to be a top team.
What probably hides it a bit is David De Gea's loyalty and passion for United throughout all them suffering years that he had. Whenever he was linked with anywhere, he was more than happy to stay. Now I know he was on a mega bucks contract, but he would have got that somewhere else if kind of wanted. Was it him, the whole fax machine? Was he involved, that kind of fax machine
Yeah,
with
that's
Real
right. The
Madrid?
fax machine wouldn't work under
The
Louis van
fax
Gaal.
under Louis van Gaal. So he has been linked with other clubs, but he has shown massive loyalty to United. So that probably from the outside looking in, that probably takes a bit of heat off him when he does make an error, that people are kind of like, oh, he's our goalie, he's 10 years, he loved him. Maybe it is time for change.
You see,
Yeah.
this is the thing. This is why I get pissed off with so many fans. Oh, he's been our goalkeeper for the last 10 years. Oh, like, shut up. Do you know,
Yeah,
like, shut up.
I
Like,
100% agree with that. Like, it's a
There can't be any
multi-billion
loyalty.
euro industry. Like, there's no sentimental value, doesn't hold a lot.
Yeah.
He's not good enough, lads. And I'm going to be real. He's not good enough to be, like, long term, he should be out the door without question. We should have a new number one. And look, I'll be honest. 180 clean sheets for Manchester United is very good and fair play to him. And I do appreciate what he's done in terms of certain moments in the last 10 years. Obviously, been our player of the year 3 or 4 times in a row. And fair play to him. I'm happy that he's done that for us, and will forever be grateful that we had David De Gea, for those periods. But in terms of the here and now, like this whole loyalty shit, I'm sorry.
Who would you take? Who would you want? Your first choice, realistic choice.
David Raya from Brentford.
Yeah.
I mean, we could definitely go in. I mean, with a 45 million pound bid, I wouldn't mind paying 45 million for him. He's a top keeper, and I've seen him so many times with Brentford this season. He's a top keeper, and I think to be Manchester United's number one, he has all the attributes, and especially to play a Ten Hag style of play.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind the chap Costa either from where's he from?
Porto.
Porto,
is it? Yeah.
Big money involved there. I don't know if that lad. I seen him a bit now. I don't know if he'd be worth.
Go on.
I do. I just think Manchester United have to be maybe aiming a bit higher. I think he's a good keeper. I've just seen some kind of hinders out of him. Now, look, every keeper is going to have their faults and going to have flaws, and you're completely in the spotlight when you're a goalie. You can make 10 world-class saves in the game, and then the last second, in the last kick of the game, you drop a ball and someone taps it in, you're the villain straight away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but I tend to agree with you. I probably wouldn't go as strong as Adam has on it, but I do agree that I think at the moment there's more important issues within the squad. We need another centre midfielder, we need a centre forward, we need another centre back, and probably another right back.
Yeah, I agree with that. With that.
Yeah, so I think long term, I would be of the same ilk as you're saying. We probably will need to upgrade. And look, the fact that De Gea is going to take a knockdown contract on lower wages, does that kind of suggest to you that, all right, I'll if he loves United so much, he supposedly is really happy in Manchester, sees it as his home, all of that kind of stuff. Would he be happy to be second choice? I don't know. But I do think that I do agree with you that long term, I think we'll have to.
I personally think a player that's been at the club for that long, I don't think he'd be happy as a number 2.
Maybe not.
And a keeper is kind of a thing that if you have a number 1 keeper, you want him in the whole time unless he's injured. Bar if you're giving your sub keeper games in Carabao Cup or whatever, you don't want to be changing your keeper throughout Premier League, Champions League games.
I agree with you.
Whoever's your number 1 keeper, you want him there for all your big games, every match while he's fit, bar giving the other keeper a run.
But let me ask you this, Ricey. If you were in De Gea's shoes and you were like, Jesus, I'm after going through 10 years of absolute torture here at United, and I stuck with him, and now Ten Hag is coming in, we're getting new owners. You're saying potentially the future is looking bright for United. Will I stick around and win a couple of trophies with him on top of, say, being player of the year for 3 years in a row or whatever it was, even if I'm going to be second choice, or would you just cut your ties and go?
No, well, that's a big question. Like, De Gea will have offers, but I don't think he'll have offers. He won't have offers of clubs near the stature of Manchester United. Yeah. Like, if he's going back to Spain, I don't know. He's not going to be going to any Barcelonas or Real Madrids or Atletico Madrids.
I could see him in like I could see him in a Spurs team now if Hugo Lloris left or something like that or a Brighton or someone, you know what I mean?
Geez, like Brighton, Brighton are on a good run now, but that'd be a massive step down.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, yeah, I'm probably just I'm probably judging that on league position more so than actual club stature.
Yeah, like we could do a swap deal. Get Robert Sanchez.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go. Might be a bad shout. But anyway, look, we'll move it on. And finally, in terms of the United segment, I want to talk about Big Wout Weghorst, running through porridge week in, week out, by. But look, I think he's only scored 1 goal for United so far. But I actually really like him, I have to say. I think the job that he does for United is a very important one. And I would go as far as saying that I think it's allowed Rashford to score a number of goals, maybe that he mightn't necessarily have scored. And I take Rashford's first goal as a prime example. Yesterday, he drops out into the 10, Weghorst, and the long-haired Leicester City centre back just followed him out, and he was there. He was marking Rashford, and Weghorst dropped out into the 10, and all of a sudden Rashford had 40 yards of space to run into. Is he underrated, Adam, in terms of the job that he does for United?
Yes. I think what he's brought to Manchester United is a new kind of dimension. I said when obviously we were linked with him and very close to signing him, I thought he was going to be a good signing because I watched him at Burnley, albeit it's Burnley, but I saw his work rate and his work ethic. He is a very hard-working player. But what I noticed with him a lot, right, and Ten Hag, again, genius move, putting him into the number 10 position. His movement off the ball, as you said, dropping in deep to allow Rashford to run in behind and Garnacho and Sancho and all these guys to run in behind and receive the ball. His work ethic and his movement has impressed me the most. Now, he is a striker, needs to score goals, but Ten Hag has made that move to put him into the number 10 role, and I'm just glad with what he's doing at the moment. Like, yeah, most pressures, there you go. Like, his pressing is very underrated as well, and especially for a 6'6" striker. It's very good, and I've been really impressed with him. And look, we do need to move him on in the summer. There's no doubt about that, because he's not the guy to keep, in my opinion, going forward. But maybe as a backup, but not for me, to be honest. And we need better than that. But for the job that he's set out to do for the next 6 months, you can call him like a steady Eddie or something like that. But
absolutely,
I've been impressed with him. I really have.
I completely agree with Adam there, and just going referencing previous pods too, Jack, where I've kind of said that he's just brought in for 6 months to do the job. Ten Hag wasn't going splashing more big money there in January. He probably knew what this lad was about, although he has a decent record. He scored bags of goals in the Dutch league, as we've seen many strikers over the year have, but they don't always take that scoring out of the Dutch league with them. He scored a goal every other game for Wolfsburg, didn't score many for Burnley, but Manchester United didn't bring him in to score 15 or 20 goals between January and the summer. Yeah. They brought him in to do a certain job. We've seen now, as Adam has said, that Ten Hag has experimented with him in the 10 role. He's dropped him into the 10. This is for support. He has great link-up play. He's well able to hold up the ball with his back to goal. Runners can come off him. For a big man, he has a very good touch, and he actually has great decision-making. He has a very good footballing brain, albeit he mightn't have the massive ability. He can read a game very well. He's a definition of, if you're playing Sunday League football and your manager tells you, right, lads, we're going out here and we defend from the front. If you're a striker, then you don't have the ball, defend. Did you see he tracked back and made a tackle against Leicester on the edge of your box? There was another one up near the corner flag on the other end, about 15 yards off the end line, and he was running behind the lad and hooked his leg around, slide tackle, and put it out for a throw. So he's not afraid to throw himself about. although for a big man, he doesn't win a massive amount of headers.
No, he doesn't.
As much as you think for a lad that's 6'6", but then again, he mightn't have the spring to get up. I know he should because he's that height, but there's also like Jack, for a lad that was 5'6" like yourself, you had a massive leap on a football pitch, and would beat a lot of lads. You could beat a lot of lads taller than you to a ball, you know.
Yeah.
But I think so far, since he's been in the United team, you've only lost once in 10 games. Yeah, there's been 2 or 3 draws in along the way. But kind of says it as it is there. Like, you didn't buy him to bag you 10 goals this season. You bought him you got him on loan to do a job, and so far he is doing that job. He's not setting any world alight, but
no, but he was never going to.
Job. No.
He was never going to. But yeah, I'd agree with everything you said there. Look, he's a 6-month stopgap. You know, he won't be re-signed by United. I would be absolutely shocked. If he was, it would be probably 4th choice striker, I would say. And I was listening to the Gary Neville podcast, and he hit the nail on the head. He said, look, as much as you might like a player, the sentimentality aspect of it has to go out the window if you're looking at getting back to winning titles. You know,
there you go with De Gea now then.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, absolutely. You know, and De Gea, Maguire, your old friend here that's after mentioning it, Adam Eaton says McTominay is a great squad player. Go on, have your rant about it, McTominay. Go on.
Nah, man, like this guy, man, like Ricey. People say I have an agenda against Scott McTominay, right? This guy has to be the worst footballer I've ever seen play for Manchester United. The guy does nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing. Okay, he has passion, but Jack, do you have passion? Yes. Do I have passion? Yes. We could go out there and have passion for Manchester United. Doesn't mean we're going to go out there and be absolutely quality footballers. That guy's not a quality footballer. He's absolute shite, and I can't wait till he leaves Manchester United.
James McLean made a whole Irish career on having passion.
Yeah, like
yeah,
it's not.
True,
it's not. True. It's not about having passion all the time. It's about having the quality to play for Manchester United. Again, I'll say it. It's Manchester United, not fucking Accrington Stanley. You know what I mean?
I have a laugh with my football manager, and we just say, like, it's crazy when you see lads that do play on such a stage for like Liverpool, Manchester United, even Irish international stage, and you're like, oh, what did you think of his performance? And someone says, oh, he put in a shift. And you're like, a shift? Like, you know, they're professional footballers. The easiest thing in the world to do is put in a shift. You're getting paid 50 grand a week. Go out there and run around and give 110%. Just because you put in a shift doesn't mean you're any good.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. The guy's on 120 grand a week. I expect him to go out there and do a shift. And
yeah, that's what I said. The minimum you can expect from anyone on that kind of money and salary is to just give 110% every game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But look, I can't wait till he leaves, man. I'll throw a fucking party. We'll have a party on one of the podcasts.
Right, let's move it on. Right, look, we'll get on. We'll move away from Manchester United and we'll get on to other teams in the Premier League. I'm going to start with Chelsea. And again, look, a disappointing week for Chelsea. And I know there is a guy that watches the watch-alongs with me. Paul is his name, and he's a Chelsea fan, and he can't put his finger on it either. And you know, and I was only reading today that the ownership of Chelsea and you know, obviously the new owner is there, and he's in no hurry to make a decision on Potter. He thinks the time is there. He likes his kind of mentality, the way he's I won't say laid back, but he doesn't get, you know, flustered or anything like that. But look, I mean, looking at Chelsea's results over the last, you know, few weeks, and I think since Potter has come in, I have the stats here actually. So they've won 9, drawn 7, and lost 9 of 25 games in charge. They've only scored 25 goals and they've conceded 24. Ricey, I'll come to you on this one first. Surely,
look, I'm a big fan of Graham Potter. He done a great job at Brighton. He done a great job. And where was he? Was he over in Norway for years? And not that I followed him massively over there, but like when I seen him coming, like throughout the years, you'd always see different things online, and they'd be saying this gem of a manager is coming through. He's doing everything the right way. Went abroad, done all his badges. I think he started managing around 30, 31. He like he came. This was a massive step up for him because they're a top 10 club in the world and they're throwing endless money. I don't believe any of the signings were his own signings, albeit they're world-class players, but trying to get these different nationalities, different cultures, some of them probably don't even have a word of English before they come over. Yeah, they'll get schooled and they'll be schooled by the best English teachers and they might learn, but he's thrown in here. I know he was in before. Was he in before the new manager or the new owners came in?
I don't think so.
Did the new owners hire him?
Yeah, they did.
Like, if they did, they have to give him time. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to, like, bring in a kind of Carlo Ancelotti figure there and try and get him going? He probably has, like, a certain style of football he wants to play. It's very hard to get across now. You can see that he's even a bit nervous giving interviews. He's saying, oh, look, we have to make so many changes due to circumstances in the club. And then he's getting battered by the press because they're saying you're after spending 600 million in however. Not really his fault. He has a terrible record. I think it's the worst Chelsea manager, a worst start a Chelsea manager has had in the last 30 years. He has a win rate of 38%. But I think they have to give him to the summer. What else are they going to do? They're not going to break into Champions League either way.
Oh, he'd be on the dole if Abramovich was still over that club.
He would.
Adam, what do you reckon?
I mean, the thing is with Graham Potter, right? I do rate him as a coach. I really do. But a club of Chelsea's stature, as you said, if Roman Abramovich was there, he'd be gone. He'd probably be gone weeks ago. You know, I just don't see Graham Potter delivering what Chelsea fans want him to deliver. I know, some of the signings aren't his signings, and Chelsea have literally just splashed the cash, but it's not his signings. It's not the players that he wanted.
Yeah.
So listen, they should give him a bit more time, but I won't lie to you, lads. If this keeps going the way it's going, it's not looking good for Graham Potter because Chelsea fans will be on his back.
I'd be in 100% agreement with that. Like when I'm saying the summer, then you kind of wonder what happens in the summer if he has a bad start next 4 or 5 games to next season. Is he just sent off then and they're getting in a new manager and the manager wants different players? I don't think his reputation is ruined by any means. I think this would be a massive learning curve for him. He'll definitely get another Premier League job if he is sacked.
Oh yeah,
he be a top 4 or 5 club, but he could be like a manager maybe to take reins at a club that has less pressure in the future. Maybe someone like a Spurs or someone could start off a bit lower and work his way back up. But
yeah, I think maybe potential. Now, maybe this is not what they're doing at all, but like if you look at I won't say very similar outcomes with Arsenal, because obviously Arteta had a better win ratio than Graham Potter has, but they stuck with him. There was a time there where half of the Arsenal fan base were calling for Arteta out, and the board stuck with him. They dug their feet in, and we see they're reaping the rewards of it now. Could Graham Potter do that? I don't really know. I think the big difference there is that you have Arteta signing players he wants to sign. He gets in his Zinchenkos, he gets in his Jesus, these guys that he knows, lads he's coached before. So I
think any manager in the world would struggle to cope with this influx of players in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think these Chelsea players respect Graham Potter, in my opinion, as well. I don't think some of these names. Yeah.
Like lads coming there for 100-odd million, like being the biggest players at their club, just kind of a lot of big fish being thrown into a pond there together. Chris says, how do we know these aren't his players? I don't know that for definite. I'm guessing it. Chelsea's previous owners had a knack of signing players, and managers came out afterwards. Like they signed many players over the years who I'd say managers. Like went the time, I know a long time ago, but when Torres went to Chelsea, that was an owner signing, not a manager signing. The likes of Crespo, all these lads, they just used by the biggest players in the world.
And there's no way Graham Potter went to the Chelsea board and said, I want 20 plus new players.
No.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and also, I don't think he wanted Mudryk, because think about it, Arsenal Football Club were in for Mudryk through the whole of January.
Yeah.
I think they bid what, like 90 million. I could be wrong, right? But then Chelsea saw that and they were like, oh, we can bid higher, then we'll go and get Mudryk ourselves. I don't think Graham Potter wanted Mudryk. I think Chelsea were just trying to get one over Arsenal, in my opinion.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, I really don't think he wanted Mudryk. Don't get me wrong, Mudryk is a good signing, but I don't think he wanted them, lads. I'll be real. And especially like...
I think Todd Bowley as well wanted to kind of stamp authority and show that he can mix with the big boys and that he's willing to splash cash. He's not there just as a...
Yeah, but Michael asked a good question there. Who's really out there to manage Chelsea if they do sack Graham Potter?
I mean, there's loads. I mean, let's be real. Luis Enrique is a serial winner, and I think Luis Enrique plays attractive, fantastic football. And like, I'll be real, them sacking Thomas Tuchel was the biggest mistake I've ever seen from, like, one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen from a football club, because Thomas Tuchel, 6 months into the job, literally won the Champions League. And look at that squad that he won the Champions League with. It's absolutely insane why, like, the fact that they sacked him. But look, it is what it is. Graham Potter, do I think he's going to succeed at Chelsea? No, in my opinion, no. I think he'll be sacked by next season.
There we go.
That's my
right. Let's move it on from Chelsea, guys, and we're going to talk about Liverpool next. Obviously, they had a win against Newcastle on the weekend, and a quite convincing win as well, in fairness to them. And they move up the table, and I suppose the main talking point that we're going to have, because I've already been hearing it from Liverpool fans already, that the top 4 race has officially started and the usual nonsense and all of that. But Adam, I'll come to you first on this one. Can Liverpool get top 4, and will they get top 4?
As of right now, I still think they won't. But yeah, like, you look at that table, Liverpool are still 8. Like,
yeah, Liverpool are in 8th on 35 points, and what are they? I mean, they're only 7 points off of top 4. And they've got 2 games in hand.
They've 2 games in hand over Spurs. They have a game in hand over Newcastle.
Yeah. They play Palace away on Saturday. That won't be an easy game, but I think they'll win that. Then they have Wolves midweek, and then they have us.
It won't be an easy game. But the only thing is, if they want to be getting top 4, these are games that they have to be winning.
Have to win.
They have to be winning these games. And I do believe if Liverpool fully get their act together, they can get top 4. Yeah, they'll have to go on a good run. They're not far off it. There's still plenty of games left in the Premier League. As you will say yourself, there's a third of the season to go anyway. They were kind of unlucky with injuries, but in the last 2 games, they've Hendo and Fabinho back. They've 2 wins, no goals conceded. I know against Newcastle now, it was a big changing point when got sent off, but I think they were 2-0 up at that stage, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were 2-0 up, but they didn't have it. I know you say it was a convincing win, Jack. They didn't even have it all their own way after that. Newcastle still had their fair share of chances, but I do think with Newcastle, or with Liverpool getting a few players back, massive game against United on the 5th of March. Absolutely massive game. That could be not a full turning point. That could be a time for either of them teams to kick on.
Yeah.
How big would it be for United to go to Anfield and win?
Yeah, well, the one thing I would say about that is, and obviously a lot can change between now and then, but I mean, given the confidence that United are playing with at the moment, and obviously players are in form, like I can't really put my finger on a player that's in a bad run of form at the moment with United. So United will go into that game full of confidence, but the one thing is, and we can always say it about Anfield, you will never, ever get anything easy in Anfield, and Liverpool can put out the reserves and it'll still be a difficult game.
Like, we could be 25 points clear of Liverpool, and I'd still be shitting us going into that game. It's Liverpool at the end of the day, but look, that game's not for another 2 weeks, so look, Liverpool still have 2 games to play before then in the Premier League. They have to win both those games, so at the end of the day, win those 2 games, and then obviously that game on the 5th of March becomes absolutely huge.
Yeah, and the one thing I would say as well about Liverpool going for top 4, and all well and good, you know, they are 7 points off with a couple of games in hand and things like that. But you know, and we can talk about that, or they could close that gap. Yeah, they could, but that means, you know, we're talking hypothetically that they're going to go through the rest of the season without dropping points, which they won't. You know, we're going to drop points. Newcastle will drop points. Spurs will drop points. Everyone will drop points between now and the end of the season. So I think it's going to be an exciting run-in. I really do. Can they get it? They can. They're going to need a big uptick in form quickly.
I pray they don't.
So do I. Do you know what? I would love nothing more for them to finish in like 7th, you know, and get
if they get top 4 and get back into the Champions League this next season, it'll be a season that can be just written off, but their season will have been saved.
Yeah,
they're still they're almost at the same position they were at the start of this year. Maybe that might kind of get the owners to be like, Jesus, look, this manager got us this yet again. We have to back him financially. I know they did back him now, don't get me wrong. I know they bought Gapco there. He wasn't who they are in the modern era, but they paid big money there on Darwin Núñez too. But they could do with a good few other players. You know, they don't. Man, you have more squad depth than Liverpool at the current time.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. And as well, while we're on the subject of Liverpool, I don't know if anyone heard it before we come on, but I only heard it that obviously Liverpool was up for sale, but according to reports now that FSG are no longer wanting to sell the club. Maybe it was only because it was the Glazers that were interested in buying it. I don't know. But Ricey, I'll come to you obviously for this one because you're the impartial guest on the show. What does that mean for Liverpool going forward? You know, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? You know, we've heard that they're not really looking to invest an awful lot. What do you make of it?
Yeah, look, it could be a tough one for Liverpool fans to see. These things just go full circle. Like there was one period where they were great owners, but it's just fans can turn on owners very quickly if other teams are financially backing their teams to the hilt and they're not. Liverpool's owners haven't been near as bad as Manchester United owners over the last few years. I think that's also been kind of hidden by Klopp has invested wisely over the years and he was a great manager. He was getting the best out of players. Manchester United were kind of going through different managers and I think you have two totally different owners there with the Glazers and with the FSG. What way would you think on that? Would you think they're right up there with the Glazers?
No, they're not right up there. I don't think the Glazers are now.
The Glazers sucked the life out of Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the last time any investment went into United, take Old Trafford for example. The last time any investment went into it was in 2004, the year before it was taken over, you know, by the Glazers. That was 20 years ago. The issue I have with the Glazers, you know, and it's the same as the majority of United fans, is the debt that was loaded onto the club. The dividends that they take out. And I have no problem, you know, if an owner decides to take dividends out of a club that's doing well, that's no problem. You know what I mean? But everything is just like they've let the stadium rot, the training ground is not up to scratch, you know, and the money that has been spent on players is Man United generated revenue.
Geez, if Manchester United got the Qatari owners, it'd be brought to a whole nother level.
We would absolutely take over that league.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think they would. Like if Man City got to where they are in 15 years.
Yeah, like
Manchester United.
Their owners are worth 150 billion. Like the Qatar investment funds is like what's the
QSI.
QSI, yeah. They're worth 335 billion.
Yeah, that's something similar to the Newcastle owners, I think, are 330.
Yeah. But what it would do, though, guys, what it would do is it would mean United are instantly challenging again. You know what I mean?
Instantly, they have endless money. Yeah. They're going to get new training facilities. The stadium will be done up. They're already, like, on a marketing scale, they're already, I'd reckon, top 2 clubs in the world.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, and especially with FFP as well, it obviously you can only spend what you're making, you know. Now for United, that's no issue because you know, you're saying, you know, they're one of the biggest clubs in the world. There's no issue with generating revenue in relation to sponsorship deals or whatever it may be. So I think
Liverpool and Manchester United though are two clubs that are steeped in history. Just from a neutral, they're two clubs that I wouldn't like to see go down that route. I know ye as fans now, you'd probably be delighted and take it. But if ye could get someone who would pump money into the club and promise to do all these things too, that wasn't, say, oil money coming in, I'd say you would also really consider or love that option. It's just two clubs, I think, because they're so steeped in history, and that'd be Liverpool and Manchester United that I wouldn't like.
Yeah, but like I'll tell you, like, also another major problem, like Jack, you nailed on the head with the debt, you know, that they've loaded onto the club. But there's also another major problem that I have with the Glazers, and this is why I think the Glazers are worse than FSG. The Glazers have employed bankers to run the footballing side of things at the club. FSG employed Mike Edwards, or what's his name? Mark Edwards, I think his name is. They employed him to run the footballing side of things, and look where Liverpool got, you know, under Klopp with this guy. Look where we've got in the last 10 years with Ed Woodward. And I'm sorry, I'm putting John Murta. People were saying Murta madness in the fucking summer. It wasn't a madness because he overspent on so many players. You know what I mean? People don't take that into context. We could have got Lisandro Martinez for 35 million. You know, we could have got Anthony for 50 million. Do you know? Albeit now Anthony still has time to develop, but albeit they've turned out to be good signings, and that's lucky for them. But they've overspent. They haven't spent their money properly. And this is why I think the new ownership needs to employ footballing people to run the footballing side of things. Because I swear to God, if they do, Erik ten Hag, sorry, people should be scared. Rival fans should be scared. Like,
yeah, I think they will do. I think if new owners come in, Qatari owners or whoever it may be, you know, and a lot of people say, you know, if Qatari owners come in, there's going to be unlimited funds, and maybe so. But they will not like to waste money. You know, they want to see something, you know, in return for what they're investing in. So, yeah.
And also stupid wages as well, Jack. Look, the wages we've given players over the years. We give Harry Maguire. No, sorry, we gave Phil Jones a new 5-year contract 5 years ago, or 4 or 5 years ago. We gave Chris Smalling a 5-year contract. And thank God Roma decided to buy him. Who's buying Phil Jones? Like, Phil Jones is still here. These players are still here because of the stupid wages we've given them. Do you know? And that's what I'm saying about, you know, the way they should be employing proper footballing people and proper people who know what they're doing. But they've employed bankers who have absolutely torn this club apart.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Jack, I want to see now your take on Arsenal.
Yeah, let's move it on to Arsenal. Go on,
Jack
off you go. Right?
Jack is an avid hater of Arsenal.
I won't say hater.
Why?
Jack feels about Arsenal how you feel about McTominay.
Yeah, it all stems back to the whole Keane Vieira era and United Arsenal, and
of course.
I mean, I try my utmost to be unbiased as much as I can, because I know obviously people are listening and there's, you know, opposition fans listening, and that's okay. But there's just something about Arsenal fans that they're so bloody deluded. I just don't. I can't get it. One, you know, last week they were calling for Arteta to be sacked. There was Arsenal fans calling for him to be sacked, and you know they win on the weekend, and it's all roses again.
Last week, I think there was hardly Arsenal fans calling for him to be sacked last week.
There was. There was
no
like
way.
I'm telling you, there was. Now, look, obviously,
who are these fans, Jack? Who are these fans?
So, do you watch 5 with 5 with Rio Ferdinand?
I do.
On YouTube, your man.
It wasn't that Joel guy, was it?
Him. He was debating whether whether Arteta should go or not.
You had your TikTok up at the weekend when Arsenal were losing, and then at the end of the match, you proceeded to say Arsenal got very lucky to get out of jail.
Yeah.
Is that how you think? Is that how you think they got on in that game?
Yeah, I mean, I think they did get lucky in that game. They were they the better team?
If that was Manchester United in that fixture and they're on the kind of form Arsenal are, I think Arsenal are on very good form. I know they went through a run there of 4 games without a win. One was in the FA Cup against Manchester City, as I stated previously. when they fielded a weakened side. Then they lost to Everton. Horrid result. Everton had just changed the manager. Drew 1-1 at home at Brentford. Brentford are a decent side. Then lost to Man City again. And that's where everyone thought the stumbling block would start. Everyone said they had to play City twice. But they went out then, and I thought they'd done a job against Villa. Like you said, maybe they just got over the line, but I'll just call out a few of the stats. I just looked up some of the stats just to see actually how the game went, because Arsenal did batter them in certain periods. If you look down, like, I just think if this was Man United game, you'd be saying that it was a great comeback, maybe not got lucky. Like, they had they had 489 accurate passes compared to 225 for Villa. They had 20 shots, not all on target, but shows the attacking threat compared to Villa's 7. They had 67% of possession. I know it's goals that matter at the end of the day, and they got lucky with the own goal that went in the 90th minute when it came back off the keeper. And after that, then they scored because the keeper went up for a corner. But they were plugging away. They stuck to a game plan. I don't necessarily know if it should be defined by they got lucky.
I mean, the ball came off the crossbar, hit the back of the keeper's head and went into the goal. They got lucky. You know what I mean?
Throughout the game. I know that is that bit of luck, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, you do.
They stuck to a plan and they kept it going. I know there is a lot of luck involved in that goal, but
no, and the one thing I would say, Ricey, is and credit to Arsenal. They and they do have resilience. I have to hand it to them. They absolutely do. Whether they were lucky or not is here nor there. They never stopped. You know what I mean? And
that's what I just mean. They never stopped. They were taking shots. They were retaining possession. They play a lovely brand of football.
Jorginho celebrated that goal as if he was playing for Arsenal for 15 years.
And now there's a lad that fans abuse him, but just looking at Arsenal there and looking kind of at their next fixtures, like Arsenal they really want to be making the most of this. They're away to Leicester, home to Everton, home to Bournemouth, away to Fulham, and home to Palace. Like, there's 15 points, and then they're at home to Leeds. There's 18 points there, and you'd be thinking if they want to be winning the Premier League, they have to be picking up 14, 15 points.
Yeah, here's the fixtures here for Arsenal and Man City.
Yeah,
and to be honest with you, both of them have a relatively, City's is probably a little bit harder. So for anyone obviously who's listening back to this at a later stage, Leicester for Arsenal, Leicester City, Leicester away, Everton at home, Bournemouth at home, Fulham away, Crystal Palace at home, and Leeds at home. While Man City have Bournemouth away, Newcastle at home, Crystal Palace away, West Ham at home, Liverpool at home, and Southampton away. So Man City probably have the difficult of the fixtures there. Adam, I want to get your take real quick on Arsenal. What's your thoughts on them this season? Do you think they can win the league?
I hope not. but they can definitely win the league. I mean, looking at those games there, they have a great chance, as Rice said, to get 14, 15 points, and potentially 18 points. I think those games are very winnable games for Arsenal, but I've been very impressed with Arteta this season. I think he's a good coach, and he's proven that this season. I think some of their individual players are absolutely top class, especially Odegaard and Saka. That combination to have on that right-hand side is absolutely sensational. I've been very impressed. As much as I hate it, and they're unbearable fans, I can't stand them on Twitter, but in terms of the way they're playing and stuff like that, you can't deny the fact they've probably been the best footballing side in the league this season. But Manchester City can turn it on just like that. So they need to be aware of that. But Man City do have a tough next 5 or 6 games, so it's going to be a very interesting title race. And who knows, Manchester United could fall into that category, even though I don't think we'll win it. But with Arsenal,
but it's just keep plugging away, keep trying to win your games and see. Just take it in blocks of 4 or 5 games. See where you are in 4 or 5 games, one game at a time, and just reassess then. But as we said, just about them Arsenal fixtures, there's no easy fixtures in the Premier League.
No,
but you have 5 nice fixtures there, and 5 or 6 nice fixtures. If you want to be challenging and win the Premier League, and you're in that position now, like essentially the league is in Arsenal's hands. They're the only team in the Premier League that if they win all their games, they win the league.
Yeah.
So it's in their hands. You have to be getting big points out of these next 18 if you want to be still in that position after the next 6 games.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's going to be a very interesting run in, I have to say. But look, guys, I think we're going to leave it there. We're what are we? An hour and 4 minutes in. Ricey, thanks as normal for coming on. Adam, you're welcome as well, and thanks for coming on. Let everyone know where,
Adam.
where they can find you.
No, but it's not Ricey. Nice to meet you, bro.
Cheers, Adam. Top man.
See you in a bit.
Yeah. So, Adam, just before you go, let everyone know where they can find you.
So you can find me on TikTok, of course. I'm known for TikTok. You know, I upload everything really Manchester United and football. So you can find me on TikTok. That's where you can find me.
Brilliant. Appreciate it, Adam. Guys, as well, anyone listening, I do appreciate it. Please smash a like on the video. If you're listening back to the podcast at a later date, wherever it is on Spotify or Apple Podcast, wherever it is, our review. It's United Community Podcast. If you want to find me, I'm on United Community Channel on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks everyone who's listened. We'll see you down the road. Take it easy.